Shabbat Shalom. This week's Dvar Torah is dedicated to the memory of Rabbi, Dr. Professor Jacob Milgrom, who died this week in Jerusalem at the age of 87. Rabbi Milgrom was one of the great biblical scholars of our age, an expert on the biblical document known as P, the priestly document, a prolific author, a magnificent teacher, a loving husband and father and grandfather, a man who touched many, many souls. We pray that his memory will always be for a blessing. This week's parsha is Parshat Korah. Korah talks about rebellion in the wilderness, rebelling against the authority of Moshe and Aaron. Actually, Professor Milgrom points out that there are 4 rebellions, all woven together into a single narrative strand. There is Korach's rebellion against Aaron. There is the rebellion of Datan and Aviram against Moshe. And then a rebellion of Levites against Aaron and of all the community against the position of Moshe and Aaron. Korach makes the claim that God at Mount Sinai made us all a nation of priests. And why should Moshe and Aaron assume for themselves the authority of the priesthood? Especially since the Torah informs us that Korach is the descendant of Yitzhar, who is the older brother of Amram, the father of Moshe and Aaron. In other words, Korach is also a Levi like Moshe and Aaron, but comes from an older brother. And shouldn't his father, also a descendant of Levi, take precedence over their father, a descendant of Levi, who was younger? So he is rebelling against the priestly authority, the religious authority of Aaron. Datan and Aviram, on the other hand, are descendants of Reuven. Reuven was the firstborn of Jacob, whereas Levi was the thirdborn. And so their claim against Moses is that shouldn't the descendants of the firstborn be selected for political leadership rather than the descendants of the thirdborn Levi? I must admit that these are compelling arguments, are they not? It's not that Datan and Aviram and Korach are wrong in what they claim. Nevertheless, their rebellion ends in disaster. Korach and his minions are swallowed by the earth. Datan and Aviram are destroyed in plague. And on and on and on. Anyone who rebelled ended up dead. Why? Well, there's nothing wrong in aspiring to leadership in the Jewish community. In fact, it's noble. But what these rebels didn't understand is that leadership in the Jewish community is not a democracy. We don't run for political or religious office in the Jewish world. There are no primary campaigns, no general elections, no political action committees, no commercials on television and radio, no debates. That's not how leaders are chosen in the Jewish world. We're not a democracy, we are a meritocracy. It is through the merits of one's behavior that one achieves leadership in the Jewish world. Everyone has a gift to offer. Everyone has a contribution to make. But if one runs for leadership, to be selected on the basis of yichus, my father was greater than your father. My great uncle Max built this building. And on and on and on. If you think you deserve to be a leader of the Jewish people, because of your station and birth, that will end in disaster. People will be hurt. There will be machloket, arguments and dissension, and nobody wins. But if you make your contribution freely for the sake of serving God, Torah, and the Jewish people, you will rise to leadership in the Jewish world because everyone in the community will recognize the content of your character. May God bless you with leadership in the Jewish world. Shabbat Shalom. May you have a Zis and Shabbos, and I'll see you in Shul.